I also like to think of Wu Wei as effortlessness. Effortlessness. Taking into consideration the idea of relativity, which we've already gone over, and connecting the dots here with Wu Wei, we can see that that relativity of viewpoint, keeping the open viewpoint, allows us a certain openness. How so? It allows us to see the movement inherent in nature. Because I see that if I move over here, I can see things a little bit differently. If I move over there, I can see things differently still. And so perhaps I should allow that movement. I should allow myself the movement. I should allow myself the diversity of perspectives that comes from growth and movement. And that creates a certain softness, a certain openness. I don't resist the movement. I'm moving with the universe. I'm not resisting. That's the gentleness here. It's the effortlessness. I'm not resisting. I'm moving. I'm allowing the move. I'm allowing that shift. I'm allowing the play. And when I allow that, I not only have the variety of viewpoints which allow me to see and which give me the wisdom, but I also stop wasting so much energy resisting. We waste a lot of energy resisting that flow, that natural dynamic pattern and the cycles of life. We resist, we resist. Do you think it makes things easy for us? No, it makes things difficult for us when we keep resisting. So it's the wisdom to know that I can't have one without the other. That's relativity. It's the wisdom of relativity. I can't have, for example, I can't know pleasure without pain. I can't know rich without knowing what poor is. That's the relativity. But it's also living in the context of Wu Wei, because it means I'm not resisting the one. I know that the one will pass so that I can have the other. Just like I know that this rain will pass and the sun will come. And when it's hot, I know that will pass, then we'll have the rain. Winter will pass, then we'll have summer. Low tide will give way to high tide, right? You're having problems with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. That tends to play itself out. Everything passes. The good times will end, but it means the bad times will end too. So it's allowing that movement. Gentle. It's having that sort of trust and faith in life's patterns. But you know, it's interesting because these teachings are meant to be practical. How can we use the teaching of no action in life? How can we use that wisdom of flux to help ourselves in life, right? So from a practical point of view, Lao Tzu says, when you stop resisting and you stop grasping, and you find the gentle way of doing things, you end up finding more success. You do it easier. You solve your problems easier because you've stopped fighting. It's kind of like what we learned in the third noble truth of Buddhism. When you can finally let go, you find out that you're able to move easier. And that's what Wu Wei teaches us. Here's a practical example for you. I remember when I was little, I was so impressed when I first saw somebody floating in the water. I thought, wow, how can you float? How come he's not sinking? I just couldn't understand why he wasn't sinking. Oh, you're not. I didn't know so. My gosh, how does he stay afloat? And of course, the first time I tried it, I'm splashing all around and I'm thinking, oh, I have to stay up, I have to float. And then someone told me to relax, to let go. It's like what we're saying, to find a gentler way of floating, to stop going against the water, but be with the water. The Taoist would have said, use Wu Wei. Have faith in the water, so to speak. Trust yourself to rest on the water. And I did that, and I kind of let go. And what do you know? I sort of stayed afloat, at least for a few seconds. The first time, of course, my butt would sink, and I'm trying, and I'm trying, and I'm fighting, and I'm trying too hard, and I'm expending all kinds of energy, you know. But of course, that's very anti-Wu Wei. And that's what I want to show you, that the teachings of Wu Wei aren't, it's not just to say, oh, the universe has this flux, and I'm watching summer turn into winter, and I'm applying Wu Wei. Yes. But it's also to take it into your life and to say, how can I use Wu Wei in my life to find a way of not only solving problems, but of executing common tasks like that? How can I execute those tasks with the wisdom of Wu Wei? That is to say, how can I find a gentle way of doing something? And you can apply it to everything. How you study, how you train for your sport or for your instrument. I remember when my son learned to play the violin, the teacher would always tell us, does anybody play the violin? No? Well, when you move from one string to the other, you're really not supposed to move your arm all over the place from the E string to the G string. The teacher always tells you, keep your elbow down and move as little as possible. It should be just in the wrist so that your movements aren't wild. Let's put it this way, so that you don't have extra movements. Simplify. You don't want to have extra movements because extra movements expend too much energy. At its heart, Daoism is all about the flow of energy. Qi in Chinese, Qi. It's all about the flow of energy and allowing that flow of energy to be efficient. My teacher called it economy of movement. Economy of movement. To be efficient, like any machine. Any good machine is efficient, if it's good. Otherwise, too much energy is lost as heat, right? And it does less work. Right? That's physics 101. A good machine will be efficient in that it wastes less energy as heat, and it does more work with the energy that is put into it, right? So if I'm a machine and I'm playing violin, I don't want to have extra movements. It won't make a difference for Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But what happens when I'm playing complicated pieces with fast little notes and I've got to dip over onto the G string quickly and make it back and stay within the tempo, and my arm is flailing all over the place wild? I'll miss the timing, and I won't keep up, and I'll start panting, just like I did in the water the first time I tried to float. Yes?
Are you just saying that you're just applying the gentleness to this, or both effortlessness, gentleness?
It's both. It's the gentle way. I'm playing more gently by allowing my wrist to do the work and to reduce my movements to what is necessary and efficient. I'm economizing my movement. It's more gentle and simple, and it's effortlessness once you master it, because it means I'm not fighting, I'm not moving with big, giant extra movements, violent movements, if we want to put it that way. Or with drumming. My brother's a drummer, he can tell us. Put him on the spot. You don't want to clutch your drumsticks. What happens if you're holding on too tight and you're stiff? Your wrists are stiff. Oh, you're going to run out of energy in about 2 seconds, right? You know, maybe you can play a simple little thing, but by the time you play a big drum solo or you're doing a show, you're going to be out. You won't be able to hit those fast beats. You won't keep the tempo. So the idea is just the same thing. You're using your wrists and you're moving as little as possible, and you're executing those movements with grace and agility. That's the grace. That's the effortlessness. Have you ever heard when people are really great at what they do, they make it look easy? The same example can be applied to sports. You know, you have a marathon runner. What happens if you expend too much energy too soon during a marathon and you just bust it out the first 2 laps? You're going to be out. You're going to be out in no time, right? You have to find that grace of movement so that you can, here's what it is, so that you can preserve your chi.